Board, and we'll get right into it. Welcome to a new episode of Hacks and Hobbies. In this episode, we get to speak with Doc Williams. Doc connected with me through Matchmaker. I know it sounds really funny, and you would have to give it to the Brits to come up with a name like Matchmaker.fm for a place for podcast hosts to connect with guests. So, Doc, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Definitely. And thank you so much for having me.
What's really funny is that anytime I say Doc, it reminds me of Back to the Future. Hey, Doc. I don't know if you get that at all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, please. Please. Back to the Future. I love that. Love all of them. Even part 3. I don't care what people say. No, I love it. I love it, man. And I used to have long hair. So when it used to be out, there you go.
Nice. So, Doc, tell us a little bit about yourself. I read that you've been in the technology space, in the digital marketing industry. Tell us a little bit about tell us a little bit of your journey on how you got started.
It kind of is just windy. I guess it's everyone, right? It's just never something straightforward.
Yeah.
Actually, I was really bad at technology for a long time. I thought I was going to go into it straight from high school, and I thought I was going to be a programmer and all these things. And I just turned out to be terrible at all of it. And I just liked business, but I was like, that was at the time where like C++ was really big, and it just got started. Dreamweaver had just come out, and it was just like I had a GeoCities page, and I'm like, I'm going to be killing it, and I was like, this is terrible. And so I pivoted, and I went into healthcare instead for about 6 years or so. Wow. And so I was in healthcare. I was a physical therapist assistant. I was a massage therapist. And I kind of went back into marketing when I opened my own gym, and pivoting from healthcare. So it was a windy road, but that's how I ended up in digital marketing.
But it makes a lot of sense because when you have your own gym, like who's going to market for me? I don't want to pay somebody else. Let me just jump right into it. And then what's really cool about what you mentioned is now you have a niche already. Like you don't even have to go through that process of doing the exercise. What's my niche? Who's my audience? I have a gym. I need people.
Yeah, it was right there for me. I was like, I need to pay rent. I need to have these members. And that's exactly what you said. Like, I remember when I first opened my gym, and my friend, this was, probably like 2011, something like this. Mm-hmm. And my friend was like, listen, there's this guy named Noah Kagan. He does this stuff. He's like, and I know this wrestler from college. He has these potato guns and all of this stuff. And like, he's doing something about some kind of selling online, like this ClickFunnels. And I was like, whatever. But from there, it kind of just, it kind of all went from that path and trying to figure out like opt-ins and all of these pages. And mind you, like I was terrible at WordPress. Like my first site, my friend got me into like WordPress. He signed up for my first, he made my first domain in hosting, but I didn't understand it, got locked out, didn't know where anything was, didn't understand it. So it was a trial by fire.
Well, those are the best kind of ways because you have an intention of figuring it out. Like, okay, because when you hand it something, you're like, all right, I'll do it tomorrow. But when you have a specific need, like, I got to get this done, dude. I'm going to look at all the YouTube videos. I'm going to watch everything available. And that's the power of the internet. Like these days, everything is available. Like people are teaching about SEO and algorithms and stuff like that on TikTok. I'm like,
it's like, this is what, oh my goodness. I just had to go on this small rant for a second. Like, so my wife's little cousin like messages me, and he's obsessed with Doctor Who, and he wants me to build him this thing. And I was like, bro, like, why don't you go on YouTube and make this? And he's like, oh, I just don't have the specs. I'm like, you are living in the best time of like human history of like with technology and understanding things. I was like, stop being lazy. And so he's just like, I need you to build it, Doc. I'm just like, oh my God, I had to block him. And it's just, it's all there. So exactly what you're saying. It was at that point, like, digital courses were just kind of getting started. People were really trying to go in depth. And from there, I pretty much kind of just weaved through what I wanted to learn, what was
Mm,
interesting to me. And I was always interested in creating really quick, like minimal viable products, creating MVPs, creating just just seeing if things were going to work. And it was at the time where so many SaaS companies were coming up, software as a service companies were coming up, so I could experiment and do those kind of things. So, yep, that's how I started.
dude, that's totally awesome because that's the world I come from. Like when you mentioned Dreamweaver just coming up, I'm like, yeah, I was right there. Before Dreamweaver, I was using FrontPage and everything was tables. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, it was terrible. It was
It
terrible.
was so terrible. And then CSS1 and CSS2, I'm like, what? You don't need to use tables anymore? You're using divs, right? So it was so crazy. So I took that path, and I was still learning about marketing through like Frank Kern and Ed Dale doing the 30-day challenge. I'm like, what is this stuff? There's something called StomperNet, and I was looking through my hard drive the other day, and I have all these tutorials on internet marketing from back then. I'm like, if I had applied any of that, like I would have been Russell Brunson right now, you know?
I know. It's crazy.
But again, we all have shoes to fill, we have bills to pay, and I was working for somebody else doing, that stuff. So things come up, and then we have I think it's automatically like we have to go through that journey to even unlock that level in our brain, right? You can't really get to the princess like in Mario Brothers
Yeah.
until you play that first level. It's like, oh, but you got to know how the guy jumps. You got to figure out that part of stuff.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And I think that's the problem where, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it later with Vayner. A lot of people ask me like, "Oh, how do you work with Gary?" Or like, "How do you just call him and see if?" And I'm just like, "Bro, like it doesn't work that way. Like it doesn't work that way." Like people, when I started working for ESPN, people are like, "Oh, you know what? I want to do exactly what you did." I'm like, "Well, to tell you the truth, I'll be honest. I was working 4 jobs at the time. I was working at 2 community colleges. I still saw patients, and I was doing this as a side hustle. Like this was a hobby for a lot of years, and I used to take my breaks in between either seeing patients. I would work on my business in the car because I was doing home health, or when I was teaching at a college, I would literally go into the closet and do my stuff. Or if I was interviewing people, I would interview them on like my 15-minute breaks in between classes before my next students came in,
Wow.
and did that multiple years. So it takes time, and you just like it takes a lot of effort. Like, it takes a lot.
Absolutely. And that's what Gary keeps saying, right? You just keep doing this, just eat shit. Like he
Yeah.
says, just eat shit. Just keep doing it because 4, 5, 6 years from now, you'll have so much content that you will be the master of it. And I love that about him.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good times. It's good times. And you tell me, because I always say this in these interviews, because like there's only one person I've ever met. It was my best friends.
Hmm.
We're a year apart. He's the only one that's ever beaten me with how many jobs. So I've had about 47 jobs. He has about 80. He's had 83. And so that's why I'm always like, when people are like, "Oh, just go through your path," I'm like, you got to tell me where you want to go. Because I'm like, I can talk about crime scene cleaning. I can talk about this. I can talk about drones. I can talk, like, you just tell me where you want me to go.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. But I honestly, like, every job I've had, it's been a hobby. It's been something that I'm like, oh, I like doing this. And then my next comment is like, how can I make money off of this? And then it's kind of gone that way. I think every entrepreneur is that way. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you just tell me which direction, and I love going that way, man.
Holy smokes, man. 47 jobs. Oh, I cannot put my mind around it. I'm sorry. I
Well,
need I'm gonna need some time to even think about it. I mean, I've heard about people changing jobs every, 3 years, and that's been what I've been doing. Every 3 years I have a different jobs. I grew up in California. I worked there for like for the longest time, and then I moved to Colorado, then I moved to DC, and
Hmm.
but I've been in a longer period of time. But what you're saying is that every project is a job.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty much
Mhm.
and it just kind of fell into it. It'd be almost like, so I'll give you an example. Like my videographer, me and him, we've always been like, for 6 years, he got me on my reality show
Yeah,
when I was younger. Like he's done everything, and
nice.
so we always work together, and we share an office, and like
You
so.
got
But
you
we have,
gotta you gotta
yeah.
have somebody.
And the great thing is he has his own business, I have my own, and we just collaborate, and we don't have to check in with each other, right?
Hmm.
So he benefits because I work on cool stuff. I'm like, Jay, I need to look good, I need you. So it kind of works out. But everything he used to do, like home real estate, and do real estate videos, and do like, and he's done an HGTV like pilot. He just does all the stuff. And
Wow.
he's like, hey, listen, Doc, like I need you to get your drone license because I'm flying all this stuff and I don't have my license. And the way as long as I'm on premise or I'm
Yeah.
by him, and if he goes crazy, I can grab the control. That's how it works. So, he's like, I need you to go to school. I'm like, why don't you go to school for it? He's like, I'll pay for you. Just get your license. Like, I don't want to do the test. So I was like, all right, let's just do it. So like that's pretty much always let's just see what we could do. The same friend, like I had my license. He's like, we're gonna work on those, those giant they're on Eastern Shore, but it's like the propellers, like the solar
Hmm.
energy. He's like, we're gonna start doing drones, we're gonna do all of this maintenance on it. And he's such the dream. Like this
Of
is the
course.
same guy. He did it's called the Dapper Traveler, where he would book Southeast Asia trips. This man has never left the East Coast. He refuses to fly. Like he hates, like he just cringes about travel. Like, why would you do it? He's like, I saw the logo, I love the everything, and so he just makes these stupid businesses, and we're always together. So yeah, every hobby, it's a job, it's fun. We'll see what happens, and then the commonality is like, I'm going to do this anyway. We might as well try to make money. And then out of it, now my wife is like, no, you need to focus. So like now I've really calmed down. I only focus on like one business, 3 ideas. Like that's the only way she'll let me stay in the house.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's just been fun like that.
That's really cool. I think what I really liked about that is you always have that one dude, like you're always bouncing ideas against each other. And I have two guys, like two cousins of mine, that we've been in the same group chat for the past 15 years, right? It's the same, like you can go back, like what did we talk in like 3 years ago? Right? It's insane. But again, we all grew up, we all have kids now, we all have our own homes, and now we're talking about homes and we're talking about gardening. It's like the conversation changed from technology to like housekeeping to like all these different things. I'm like, whoa. And I really like, what you said, you get into one hobby and like, okay, how can I make money from that? And unfortunately, I never thought that way, even though I've been in tons of different hobbies. I'm like, I got this one job and I'm just going to keep doing it. But I am seeing things from a different lens lately. And I'm like, okay, I need to launch something. So this thing, the podcast, has been the most consistent. And so I started a podcast with my cousins. We called it Still Brewing It in 2012. We did like 4 episodes, and then we're like, all right, this is too hard because we were in two different time zones. I'm in Colorado. I'm up at like midnight, and we're having this chat or whatever. We didn't have awesome tools like Anchor or something like that. None of that. Like Zoom makes it so easy now. Like forget about it.
You're,
Um,
yeah. It's the golden time to do it. And by the way, I love the show. I love the aesthetics and everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
It's that's exactly right. Like, yeah, I did my podcast. I did one in 2007. It was called the Megan Fox Podcast because I was like, I need SEO like that, and so we just named it that. And I was like, oh, this is great. And but it was really hard to do it. It was on Blogspot. We had to do all this RSS feed foolishness, and
Yeah.
just it was terrible. But no, yeah, you've got to have people. You've got to have people that
Yeah.
are real with you, and they I think the banter just helps you in so much in life,
It
and
does. So what happened?
everything else works out.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened is 2012, we did 4 episodes, and then I had to move from Colorado to Virginia, and then I was just so busy with work, and I was like, all right, eventually it's gonna happen. I would keep bringing up the idea. I'm a huge follower on Apple Insider, and we talk about Apple technology, right? So like we're always talking about this. Why don't we just start writing articles? Weekly we should just do one article. So anyways, long story short, 2018, I finally finished reading Crush It. And then Crushing It came out, and then I finished that book, and I was like, okay, Gary says, if you want to do something, you just got to do it. Nobody's going to come and give you a hand, like, here's your podcast in the bag. You just got to do it yourself. And it just so happens that I was helping somebody else set up their podcast, and I discovered Anchor. I'm like, what the hell? I just finished my beekeeping course. I'm just going to talk about beekeeping. So I started with talking about Queen Bee. And my friend was like, you know who Queen Bee is, like, right? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's like Beyonce. So that was my first episode. I recorded in my car. And then so I just kept consistent at it. I just keep doing it. And now I get to talk to people like you. It's so fun. And we get to connect on a totally deeper level, because it's like we're on the same bus, right? We just haven't like talked to each other. We're just on our own little world.
I like that analogy. Yeah, it's definitely true. Definitely true. We're all trying to go to the same place.
Yep. And I think what's really cool about what you mentioned about your wife telling you, okay, focus on one thing, how you can have these ideas, and that makes a lot of sense too, because, and this is some new analogy I've been applying with time, is that there's only so much butter you can put on a butter knife to spread on your bread, because by the end of the time you get to the edge, the day is over and the butter's thinning. So you're spreading yourself too thin.
I love that. I have high cholesterol. No, I'm just joking.
Sorry. We'll use a hummus. How about that?
Thank you.
So yeah, man, it's really awesome talking with you. So what I like to do, so we learned a little bit about you, Doc William, digital marketing, your wavy journey, 47 jobs. This is mind blowing. What are some of your motivations that you do, that keep you doing what you're doing every day?
I mean, I think it's overly used, but I think it's just because it's the truth. Like, I saw an interview about like Roger Federer, and like, I guess it was Draymond Green that was, one of the players on Golden State. And this was towards the end of their run. They're like, how do you keep doing it? Like, how do you keep doing it? Roger Federer has been doing it like for years, like decades, just killing it in tennis. And he's like, well, I wake up, I do a practice, I have lunch with my family, I go back out and practice. It's just part of his life. He just loves doing it. And I think with digital marketing, I've always been interested in products and psychology, which all marketing is. And I just love I love trying to help people and see them get excited. Yes, I get paid. Yes, these things. But like, honestly, I just like people being happy, and I like trying to see how I can help them. And I try to figure out different ways. So like throughout my whole career, teaching, therapy, I really think it's just a biofeedback of listening to see how people are and then going on. And so every day that like I tell people, I'm not joking, like the stuff I do with like Vayner or AppSumo, like, and that's how Build With Me, the new show. I'm not sure if I told you about that, but like it's what I would do if no one was watching anyway. Like this is just, I just like doing these things. That's it.
That you hit the nail on the head, because when I first started the podcast, I did not market it. I'm like, what's marketing? I'm just recording it for my own, for my own self. And like, even now I really suck at marketing. Like, I haven't marketed the podcast as much as I should have. Like, I should be getting like hundreds of views or per day or whatever. And I actually got to that point back in February, because I was actually marketing. And then, well, the human part of me came into like, okay, how can I automate this stuff? I'm like, oh, that ship sailed. But But you're right. You just got to keep doing what you love to do. So tell us, what are you doing these days, and what's your plan? What are your goals? How did you get connected with VaynerMedia? And like you did mention that you were doing 4 jobs at a time, and you were just crushing it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think the 4 jobs were crushing me. Actually, I think it
Yes.
was it was bad. But I mean, so I'll take a little piece at a time. So like with Vayner, the whole thing was like throughout my entire career and whatever this is, I find that I've always just been doing the counter what people would try to do. Like, so the thing is, like, working with ESPN and in that, I never try to pitch ESPN. I pitched ESPNW, which is the women's side of ESPN, because I knew most people were after ESPN and getting that job.
Mm,
And that's how I ended up working with them. With Vayner is very similar. Everyone always tries to get attention from Gary,
yeah.
and I just went after talking to his brother. And so, because I knew like everyone was trying to get Gary, and I'm just like, what's the chances? I'm always looking at what are the chances of me succeeding.
Right.
And so with Vayner, it was like, okay, how can I bring value? How can I do something? How can I work with them? And then after the first time, it was like, okay, how can there be an opportunity again? Because I was live streaming at Vayner Media in 2017 before people were live streaming really.
Yeah.
And by the way, we were live streaming with 3 cameras.
Yep.
Like it just, we were very intentional. Like that's what we thought the future was going to be, that and
Mhm.
chatbots. And like we stuck to our guns, and it just became multiple ways to keep doing the same thing. And then so that was the first time. And then we worked on multiple podcasts. We helped with Sasha Group, which is one of their smaller companies. It's a
Mhm.
boutique agency under VaynerX to build out their SOPs for people building their own podcasting shows. So
Nice.
I'm always about like, just what are you missing and what do you need done? And I call it like the garbage man. Like, how can I just be the garbage man? Like, there ain't nobody, like, no one wants to. I don't think children dream about being the garbage man. I don't think so. But
Mhm.
like, I know if I don't have the garbage man, like, I'm freaking out. I'm calling the city. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yes. Very
And so
insightful.
I try to be the garbage man of every company I go into, and just like, I'm like, I'm going to be essential. I'm going to be essential where people are going to call me for things that I enjoy to do. So that's how we ended up with Vayner.
Mhm.
And I'll go into the other thing afterwards, but yeah, that's how we ended up there.
Nice. So what's the other thing?
So this was unexpected. I ran an agency, a PR agency and marketing firm for a couple years. But when COVID happened, everyone was freaking out. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Mhm.
stuff going on, right? I'm not saying anything, but what I kept seeing on LinkedIn over and over again, it really bothered me when I would see like 7 or 8 figure people were like, "We got to work together. We got to lean in. We'll make it together." And it got me really upset because I'm like, ain't nobody want to hear that right now. Like, first of all, I'm not in those commas. I'm not in those groups. Like, and so it got me really irritated. I'm like, you're not teaching people. So I was like, you
Mhm.
know what? For all these years, people always told me like, Doc, you give away the secret too much. You've got to hold back. You got to. I was like, all you people, like, screw all you people. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna go and create a live streaming show. I'm just gonna go on YouTube and I'm gonna do Build With Me, and I'm gonna show you that I can, how to basically side hustle and make money. So I do a lot of content for AppSumo and those companies. So I was like, I'm going to build 3 businesses every single night from one tool, and I'm going to show you live, and I'm going to build it live from the beginning of the show to the end. And I'm going to do it 40 days straight. So I kept adding, because I was like, no one's going to top what I do. And it was in the middle of quarantine. Like, I started in March, and I'm like, we're going to go 40 days straight. And by doing that, that gave more PR from different companies. Like VaynerX jumped out because because I was telling them like, I built out this whole system where, so we did the Gary V content model 2.0 last year. And so Gary has a team. He has about 30 people and he puts out a lot of content. And me and my friend Jay, we were like, we can do it with 2 people. We can put out just as much content with automation and 2 people. You could do it with 1 person. And so we put that out. they saw that I was doing the live streaming thing. So they asked me to speak for their VaynerX event for live streaming and
Mm.
that. And pretty much after Build With Me, that's where it took off. So the Hustle and Trends reached out. Basically all the companies I wanted to work with, they're like, this is really weird. You're doing some weird stuff. And the thing was, I put a timer in the show. So you knew I wasn't faking it. Like
Yeah.
one of my past clients, like they didn't have the money. They were going to spend close to 200,000 on an app to build. And I was like, I can build this thing. And so I built it in an hour. And I was like, and I said, and I was like, I'm going to show it and show everyone online that they can do it too. I'm like, I'm not going to do like a paywall and say you're not going to do it. I'm like, we're just going to crush it. So going that honest and just like that unfiltered, it was really refreshing. And then from that, I'm like, I still have my agency, but full 100,000% is into Build With Me. And I'm building my own courses from that and just crushing it that way.
Dude, that is friggin' awesome. I love it. I've been thinking about what to do, and I've been watching what's his face? Sorry, Pat Flynn.
Oh yeah, Pat. Yep.
Yeah, he's doing his seven. I think he's on day 75 now with his live streams, and it's just mind blowing. Like what the level of like information that is getting passed out, and what you did like in 1 hour, you can build anything in 1 hour. That's so true, because we have the tools available today with SaaS and with automation, with AI and RP, all these things. It make it so easy possible. Wow. So
Yeah.
you built 40 different applications, 40 different things.
40 times 3, so
Okay.
120.
120.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So 40 with 40 different tools, 3 applications each. Yeah. 120 business ideas or businesses to start and going right now and start making money.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah. But it was fun. And like that's what I was telling people. I'm like, I literally do this every night anyway. And so I was actually, shout out this guy named Max who started 100 Days of No Code. In the middle of this, he was like, hey, and at the end of the year, my friend, because I was like, no one understands me. And my friend's like, why aren't you on No Code Twitter? And I'm like, I don't know what No Code is. And he's like, it's just not when you're programming. I'm like, that's a thing? And he's like, you need to start talking to these people. And I was like, all right, whatever. So this kid was like, he's in England. He's like, hey, I'm going to put this on. And I did a couple days and people were messaging me and they're like, Doc, like you're putting out so much content, like you're putting out all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, it's the 2.0 that I released. Like, as long as you have 20 minutes, I can make you 30 pieces of content all on automation without doing anything. They're like, no, you can't. I'm like, sure. And then I was just, and that's why I was like, from now on, I'm just going to do the show and show people I can do it. And it was off to the races from there.
That's amazing. You're blowing my mind right now. I can't even think. So since I can't think anymore, I'm going to go to the section of our podcast episode where I ask you questions about some of the things, and based on what you've just told me, it's still blowing my mind. You've probably already done the stuff that you wanted to do, but I'm going to go into the question. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
Ooh. That's interesting. Now, what's the level of expert on that hobby? Is it what? That's a tough question.
I know.
You know what?
You made it tough.
Yeah. That's what did I want to do? There's so much. I want to do everything. Like, I think, you know what, to be honest, I wish I was better at languages. My wife she just learned so many languages so fast. Like, I'm so bad at that. So I would think, I wish I knew like 15 languages, honestly. And not only just like getting by, I wish I wish I could speak to people that I could speak to their soul and have a good conversation,
Yeah.
not just, you know what I'm saying? Like
Not
really,
just a surface conversation, right?
yeah. And I really like every time, like my wife was talking about, because she loves the etymology of different words and everything. So she picked a word, like I picked like innovation this year. She picked another word in another language, but she's like, this is what it means. And I'm like, man, there's just so many words in other languages. I'm like, man, I wish I could have the grasp of the vocabulary to be able to resonate with people like that.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
here's the thing about you and I. We resonate with technology, right? So technology is the language that other people look at it as like, I wish I could do that, right? From that perspective, we have we have the edge on that area.
yeah.
But when it comes to languages, like I speak two languages, like Urdu, which is from Pakistan, and I can read and write Arabic, but I don't understand it. I mean, I understand a little bit of it,
What's that?
but I've also struggled. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go learn Spanish. So I went Duolingo like 2-3 months straight on. Like, okay, I know a little bit, but I don't have anybody to talk to,
Yeah,
right? So
you're right.
yeah, man, it all comes down to time. Like we only have so much time that we can spend on. Either we spend on live streaming. Maybe that could be the next thing. You spend 1 hour in learning a language and you live
Should.
stream that.
Oh man, it
In
would
the
be
next
so
40 days,
bad.
I'm going to learn basics of 40 different languages.
Oh, that would be. Oh, don't. I might write that down though. I do love. Love crazy challenges. I do love crazy. I'm gonna write that down. We'll see what happens. 40 is tough.
40
40
so
is
I mean, it doesn't have
tough.
to be 40. It could be 15, right?
No, but like when you're saying it, like I'm like
No,
I'm all
right?
in for the 40. I'm like, ooh,
But
I gotta see
what's
what I can
really cool
do.
is our good friend Tim Ferriss. I wish he was our friend. I mean, I'm sure he's your friend.
No,
Tim
he's
Ferriss,
not. A friend of a friend.
he's got a formula on how you can learn a language really quickly by learning
Hmm.
like 15 or like 20 different vocabulary words. Because if you look at like Spanish and English,
Mm-hmm.
and like some of the words are very similar. Like you're using the same word for like international is like international in every language,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So it makes it kind of easy. Like I'm looking at Arabic, like pantaloon is in Spanish, right? And in Urdu it's patloon, right? So
Oh.
very similar words. So there's a lot of, I guess we like, if you look at from the technical level, there's a lot of similarities. But then when people are actually talking their language, they're talking so fast you can't slow it down.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know what? I like what you said. I might have to start doing that. And that, like, I'll give you a quick example. Like, that's exactly what, like, so I tried to do Russian when I was like 17 or 18. And
Mm-hmm.
like, even like Ukrainian Russian to like, in like kids, because like, so me and my friends, one of my friends was from the Ukraine, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't understand so much slang goes into it than formal.
Oh
And
yeah,
like, I remember when we were talking and, it was like privyet, like, hello. And then like, I was talking to old people and they're like, "Здравствуйте." Like, why are you like, I was like, they're like, they're like, you don't talk to me like that. I was just like, oh, there's so many things.
yeah.
Forget it.
It's the culture, right? It's the
Yeah.
culture part of it. Because you could pull up Google Translate and translate something, but it's not gonna come close at all.
No, you're so right. I can't remember. I was trying to explain because we our creative cloud, like some people are in the Philippines, some are in Ukraine, some are in India, and we were trying to. I cannot remember. I had to ask my wife. Someone was asking me just like this phrasing and this like slang. They're like, "What is that?" And I was just like, and I had such a hard time explaining. I'm like, just don't worry about it. We're never going to use it ever again. Like that phrase, like cut it out. Like it doesn't mean anything to anyone. But you're exactly right. That's so
It
funny.
it reminds me of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like, it's just went over his head. Like it's impossible. I have very fast reflexes. Nothing goes over my head.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I'm like, technically, yes, we're speaking, we're understanding each other, but no,
No,
not at all. Not at all. That's
like
a
in
really
Rush
good
Hour, right? Rush Hour.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Coming
Oh
out of my
man.
mouth. All right, next question. This hobby was really cool. I'm gonna have to bring you back on on another show. Actually working on a game show.
Listen,
It's gonna be, and I could probably get some ideas from you. So we'll
we'll
keep
talk
in touch.
about this. I love
All right.
game shows.
What did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh, ba, 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 ba. Da, 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 da. That kind of depends the age. Did I give you these answers beforehand? Hopefully I did. I was like,
Probably.
wait a minute. This,
I don't have
this,
these specific ones.
so I was like, wait a minute. I'm not sure. I'm like, hopefully he's not reading because I'm like, I
I'm not
don't think
reading
I'm
those.
giving,
No, no, no.
I'm like, I'm not giving him any of the same answers, I don't think.
That's just to get you,
Yeah, I'm like,
idea.
um, okay, to be honest with you, um, probably a Jedi or a ninja. Like I can't remember a time when I didn't want to be both of those things. It was never real jobs. I'll tell you this right now. Like
Yeah,
I
don't
never
have to be.
wanted
Yeah.
a real job. Okay, so the first one, I wanted to be a mutant. I wanted to have powers, whatever. The next part was I was like, I want to be in a robe and I want to be comfortable, Jedi. And then I was like, I just want to be sneaking around all the time, ninja. And so that's pretty much that's tough. But it was an amorphous, it was just constantly changing between those three.
You're basically Mystique.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I love that. If we're talking about, listen, Mystique, and there's I think it's coming out in the newest movie, maybe in Black Widow. I love this one character, Taskmaster,
Oh,
where the
yes.
mutant could just emulate and see what someone was doing and then redo it. I love that. I was like,
Oh,
why are
man.
people not talking about Taskmaster more?
That is so cool. And what's his name from it's escaping my Stranger Things. Is the dude, is he playing Taskmaster?
Yes, that's the exact. I was like, wait a minute, I know this is coming. Yep,
He
exactly.
played Hellboy pretty good. I think
Yeah,
the new
this
Hellboy.
this guy is coming out of the woodwork, just doing whatever. But
It's
yes,
amazing.
yeah, I think I'm 98% sure. But this is another problem too. I didn't want to spoil the movie, so I didn't want a lot to know. Like my wife was like, this character, and I'm like, I think don't tell me anymore. So like, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, we'll wait for that surprise.
Yeah.
All right, next one. So we talked about movies, and that's what happens when you talk about being a child, So what is your favorite movie or TV show?
Ooh, okay. So this is interesting. So my favorite go-to movie that I think I have the most pop culture references and everything. I always love the second act of trilogies. I've always loved them. So Empire Strikes Back has been my favorite. Dark Knight was my favorite. There are a few random crazy films that have been from my childhood, like Back to the Future, but also a very obscure movie called Buckaroo Banzai that my father loved, who it was just a crazy, crazy film. There is a movie that, oh man, it throws me off. Harvey. It's an old movie. It's probably the 30s with Jimmy Stewart. And then there's something called The Ruling Class, which the same actor that played in Lawrence of Arabia did this other really crazy, crazy film called The Ruling Class, where he starts thinking that he's the Messiah and Jesus, and then it turns out that he goes into electric shock therapy, and his name's Jack, and he thinks he's Jack the Ripper by the end of the film.
Oh wow.
It's a crazy, and it's a musical. It's crazy. So anyway, so when my wife was asking me, she's like, what should I put down here? I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I would probably go with Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
That's probably what I would do. TV show, most influential as a child, I would probably go with Star Trek, probably Next Generation. My favorite is probably when Sci-Fi Channel came back with Battlestar Galactica for 3 years. I really think that was a really good run. And that's what I would say.
Nice. I like it. So what I'm getting at is that everybody knows the origin story. what happens after that is what you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would
Yeah.
you say Iron Man 2 is better than Iron Man 1?
Oh, I would never say that. I would never say that. Don't put me in that box.
I know. I loved all the Iron Man, so
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
good
the
with
first
that.
one was so good though.
The first
So
one
so
was
good.
I put that movie on just to watch him tinkering with that suit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my favorite thing is to how do you put things together? Like that's my favorite thing. Like anytime you're putting things together, you're like working all parts of your brain, the creative, the analytic, and it's awesome.
Yeah. No, that's
My wife's coming. All right, next question. What movie would you choose if you had to play a character in it?
ooh. Probably mm, that's tough. Play okay. Probably Neo, probably the Matrix. I hate to be like that. And I know everyone's gonna be like, I can't believe you just said that. But the Matrix, like I just remember when I saw the Matrix and I just like lost my mind. Um it would be good. I think that's the main one. And I couldn't be Luke. I couldn't be Anakin. Like that couldn't work. Thor, it can't. I'm gonna have to go with Neo. I'm gonna have to go with Neo. I'm done. I can't do
I
anymore.
like your answer. Hold on. I'm gonna hand my phone over to my kid so he can go down to his scouts.
Where's the balloon?
Um,
No problem.
I need a deflated balloon.
I don't have a deflated balloon. Here to go. Here's a Zoom call.
He's building everything. What is he building over there? Deflated balloon? I've heard of a balloon, but what do you need a deflated balloon for? What's
Balloon.
like that's very specific.
Inflated. Oh my god, my daughter's very crazy. All right. Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh, that's a trick question. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's a trick question because if anyone knows me, I'm terrible at board games. And I'm going to have to go with like, if I was a board. You know what? I'm going to go with that obscure, like, I've seen Uno, but like that weird Uno game that just like spits random cards out. And you're like, I thought I was playing Uno, but what is this crap? Like,
Oh man, that's a good one. I'll have to look that one up.
I think I would have to be like that because
Okay.
Monopoly, not going to happen. Clue, not going to happen. Maybe Hungry Hippos. Not. I don't. I mean, I would do that. The life is too depressing. I'm going to go with that crazy Uno game.
All right, sounds good. All right, where can where can my audience find you?
No worries. Yeah, find me anywhere. So if you go to buildwithdoc.com, check me out. That's where all the Build It episodes are. Build with me, where I build every single night. That's great. Find me on Twitter _Doc Williams. And if you want to hear more about the craziness for our marketing, brandfactoryinc.com. You can find me there.
Dude, I love it. Thank you so much. I can't wait to talk to you more, man.
Likewise, man. This was fun. I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.